Well, dude, it's crazy. Have you guys gotten broke into before? Like people steal shit, right?
Like 3 times.
That's horrible.
We got the worst time was 2008, the old location. They did a real fucked up. This was like the worst by far. They clipped the power.
Oh God.
Jeez.
Legit. They clipped the power to the building. I think the whole like 3 stores.
Jeez.
They clipped the power, and then they put a chain or something, and we had a big metal door in the back. They ripped the door off the hinges, and then they literally, because the power was off, so the alarm wasn't going on. They had like a power outage at the alarm company. They called me saying, "Hey, there's a power outage," and I'm like, "That's weird." And I call up my neighbor who has a story. He's like, "Yeah, we don't have no power either." I'm like, "Oh, I thought maybe."
It was like a community. Everyone's
Yeah,
powers
so
out.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna.
You're not tripping.
You're only break in.
Right.
Right. I go to the store in the morning. I shit you not. I had nothing. I had nothing left. I had like, I had meat. I had nothing. I had probably like $1,000 worth of merchandise. They took about 60 grand. They left me with, they took my computer. I mean, they left me with like hangers and shit on the floor. Like they took everything from me. And then I was out of business for 6-7 weeks because.
How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
How did I come back from that? After 2 months of insurance investigations, sending people, like 2 different investigators, take a lie detector test.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We got to check. It wasn't a lot.
You had like insurance on it all.
Yeah, no. So my fault. I never kept, a lot of invoices. Once I put the price, I might throw it out,
Oh, I see.
Well, show us proof they took they took $100,000 worth of shit. Show us proof.
Right.
All I can get was $50-something thousand worth of proof. So all I got was $50-something $1,000. So I got it. Then we opened up, and literally that same year, our lease was up. And then the landlord's like, hey, yeah. I said, where's the lease? Where's the lease? Where's the lease? At the time, we were paying like $4,300, $4,400 a month rent, which was a lot back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't terrible though.
Ain't terrible. No, it wasn't. No, it's not. But it was. I was happy. $4,500, $5,000. I'll take it all day.
Yeah.
And then he comes to us, and this is why we closed down on the original location. He comes to us and he says, okay, well, you want another lease? I'm like, yeah. He goes, we'll give you a 5-year lease. I'm like, okay. But your rent's going to be $10,000. I'm like, $10,000?
Fuck.
This is a recession.
Yeah.
I can't afford $10,000. How are you going to charge me $10,000? Well, $9,500. I'm like, how? And this is what he tells me with a straight face. He's like, well, we always see people here. You're making money. You pay your rent on time. So that must mean you make money. So we should make more money. It's like, just because I pay my rent on time and I have kids here doesn't mean they're all buying and I don't have
double it. Yeah. What the hell? That's insane.
And like, well, then they thought they had me like I wasn't going to leave. So I'm just like,
later.
well, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I left.
Well, they left you no choice.
That left my choice. And then I had to find another spot and I couldn't find a spot. And then I had the Pasadena store. And that was like that was just a nightmare because the recession, I had to close that down. Like I said earlier, it's like I became homeless and I opened up the new location in 2010.
It's so crazy. I feel it's frustrating. I mean, owning a skate shop and doing it and trying to keep it in business, it seems so frustrating.
People don't believe me.
But it's like the passion, though.
It's passion.
But it's frustrating.
People do not believe me, and this is the guys, and I feel like a sucker telling my business. I make my money doing consulting work for this brand, consulting work for this brand. If the shop pays my car payment, pays my cell phone bill, and gives me about $2,000 a month. That's it.
Okay.
And it's my consulting gigs from various tech. That's how I make my living.
That's how you survive.
I can't, if I want to take a salary from the store, well, I would have to get rid of 2-3 employees.
Wow.
And then I can take the money. But I have 5 employees. I pay them very well. I pay them commission, and I'm happy helping them. I'm happy. I've never ever. I'm a small one-man shop, and I've never ever, like, if it's slow, I don't send somebody home. I just still pay them the full thing because I know what it's like when I had a job, and I hear this horror stories. Like, there's certain people that come for work. They're like, yeah, my job come hours. I'm working 6 hours a week. how can the fuck can you
That's
live on
crazy.
6 hours
Yeah.
a week?
You can't.
You can't.
No.
You know, and there's not where you can have. I mean, there's certain people. I go to certain like I go to this one spot to get tea, drinks, and some of the workers there, they have like 4 or 5 jobs. I'm like, that's
yeah.
insane. Like I couldn't 4 or 5 jobs. Well, yeah, I work 3 days here, and I work 2 days here, and I work 3 nights here, and then on Sunday I do that. It's like, whoa,
It should
that's
be 2 tops.
Yeah.
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 LA's tough.
Kill
man.
it.
LA
5
said-
jobs.
I know.
I'm fine though.
Let me ask you this though: if say you didn't have any consulting, nothing. Say you opened a shop. I mean, how does a shop survive
It's
without any? If that's their only means of
well,
survival.
I thought about it.
Right.
It's
How do you do it?
you first open up in a community that needs you.
True.
Okay.
True.
Where there's cheap rent and there's a lot of kids. Okay, number
Yeah.
one. Number two, again, I can't knock it. You sell the way I say it is, for every shop board you sell, you should be selling 5 pro boards.
Yeah.
Keep the industry alive.
Yep.
And then do your own brand, your own grip tape, your own t-shirts, because now you're making a higher profit margin, and that's how you stay in business and low overhead. You know what I mean? It's like, unfortunately, it's really hard with the internet. But again,
Do you wish you ever entered that whole e-commerce?
you know, it's another funny story. This is true. A good friend of mine named Michael Marchetti, he was like the CFO of EA Sports years ago.
Oh wow.
My childhood friend. In 96, 97, he came in and he was doing this thing with me. He brought in this other dude, and they had a company called Net Zero.
Oh, I've heard of
Remember
it.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. It was this new thing, the internet. And at that time, it was like talking about flying spaceships. You
Yeah,
wouldn't think,
yeah,
it's talking about
You
flying
can't
cars. You
comprehend
can't
it. It's like, yeah.
But they were coming to me with orders every month. Say, we're building this store for you on the World Wide Web. I'm like, I don't get it. It's like, it's just like a store. It's in like this like spot on the computer. I'm like, okay. But they were like testing
You
this.
need to fulfill these orders.
Right. So they would come and they would give me a list, and they would put, I don't know how they did. They just put like images from, at the time, I gave them a Dwindle catalog, and they would just buy all the Dwindle stuff. And every month they would come with $1,500, $1,800, $2,500 worth of orders of skate shit, Dark Star, Menace.
Sure.
And I would get it and I'd give it to them. They would pay me.
You fulfill it.
Fulfill it. No, I would give it to them.
Yeah.
And they would send it out.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
I would just buy it for them and I'd make my money.
Yeah.
After about 4 months, it was a test thing. It was a beta test for an online store. They're like, hey, we're going to be pulling this, but if you want this, we can give you everything. You can start doing it, and this is going to be the wave of the future. And I'm just like, I don't know what the
Yeah,
fuck this
right.
is. Yeah. I don't get
It's another thing for me to fucking do.
No. And then what? Order from like a chat room? Like, I don't get it. Like, I didn't understand it. So I said
Yeah.
no. So going back to that, like, I don't wish I entered the e-commerce business. I do wish that 10 years ago, when I was helping all these brands do things marketing wise, pushing them on celebrity friends of mine, like the Diamonds, the Hundreds, if I would have done a Brooklyn Products brand back then. Because every brand, literally 9 out of 10 brands I've helped, they're all like millionaires and have houses, because it was a timing. And I didn't.
You didn't jump on it.
I didn't jump on it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like,
Timing's
nah,
everything.
Timing's everything.
Yeah.
I started late with my brand.
Right.
I started it 3.5 years ago. I mean, I made a t-shirt here, but doing my brand, started doing it 3 years ago, but it's grown in this climate. It's grown. I think it's growing because I'm not talking shit, but I think that a lot of the brands that were popular in the mid 2000s, those became like heritage brands. Those are your dad's brands, because when you think about it, the kid that wore Diamond when he was 21, like say, or 19, now he's 38, 39. So now he has a kid that's 15, 14, 12, 13. That's like our fathers wearing like Billabong or, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? I don't want to wear what my dad wears.
Yeah.
O'Neal.
O'Neal, you know what I mean?
O'Neal.
So it's like they became the heritage brands. So now it's a better place for me, because when you go into like a Zoomies, for instance, it's not like I'm up against 20 hot brands. I'm in my own place, and it's new and it's fresh, because the designs I kind of create are designs of like, they're in the same vein of like brands that don't want to sell to Zoomies and want to sell only online, and they have their own thing. So I'm kind of like in that little halo effect. Like those are the cool brands that will never sell to shops or whatever, but I do designs that kind of like, which is basically like 90s stuff redone. That's my ethos.
Okay.
So I'll do it. It's just like, I caught a lot of heat by doing I did a collab with the Hundreds just recently. And I took inspiration, let's call it, from a brand that was my favorite brand that doesn't get a lot of credit, called Pervert, from the 90s.
Okay.
And Pervert was a brand that the designer, like, he also helped. He came from like Fat Farm, and and like it's
From like Miami originally?
yeah. Well, he's from New York, and then he moved to Miami, opened up Animal Farm, and then he joined a cult, and he threw away Pervert. But Pervert was like
It was like the outline of a dude or something, wasn't it? Like the logo was...
The logo. Well, the first logo was the Keebler elf tree, and it said Pervert. But the guy was Supreme before Supreme. Pervert was Supreme.
Some cookies.
Pervert was Supreme before Supreme was, and so I copied a lot of their stuff, and because the designs are so dope, and I said this is taking inspiration from Pervert, and the shit sold, and it was sold because it looked so different, but it was 90s stuff. It was stuff that was all around. So I think that's why my brand does well. It's because I take my 90s ethos and I'm putting it, whereas the other brands, they're still stuck in like the 2000s and they're still trying to chase their old consumer. And you have to think, you always have to think 10, like you said, 10 steps ahead. Like you got to think about, okay, if I'm going to like start, trying to cater to people in their 30s, okay, what's the next step? Because they're good for like 3 or 4 years. Yeah. I got to start changing designs and not to bring up the Hundreds because they're not a skate brand, but they do have some sort of roots in skate. They did a good job of reinventing themselves where they appeal a little bit to the 30-something-year-olds, but they do some designs that appeals to the 20-something-year-olds. So it's a fine line. And, there's a lot of skate brands that do it, like Butter Goods.
Okay, yeah.
They do it. All Timers does a really good job, I think.
Yeah.
Quiet Life does an amazing job. Huff, still killing it.
Have you seen our designs?
Your designs are the best.
Thank you, bro.